Thursday, October 19th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we discuss the burden of proof.
Let's do this.
So today I ended up working in a place in the Bronx I normally don't work. Very, very South Bronx, as in right next to the river where I could see Manhattan.
What kind of place was it? Hospital, school?
Yeah, big old hospital in a really economically depressed area.
Awesome.
I parked my car behind a gate.
Ooh, good idea.
Though actually the other day I went down to the same place and I parked my car in the street on a shady alley next to an empty park.
Uh-oh. Well, at least it's a park. Parks are cool.
Well, the thing is, my car looks kind of shady, so I can park in a shady area just fine.
Ooh, Mr. Shady McShade.
Yeah, it'll be a couple more years before I buy a new car. But my car, it actually looks really nice, except for the small gash in the left side from when someone backed into it while it was parked on the street earlier.
Yeah, you told me about it, and then I saw it. It's pretty bad.
Not really. It's a tiny little dent. I could pop it out with a rubber mallet.
Well, it's mostly those white streaks where the...
Actually, half of that'll wash off.
Oh, okay.
Because I tried it.
I couldn't tell it. It's hard to tell what of that is paint that's scratched off and what of that is stuff that's rubbed onto your car.
That's stuff that's rubbed on. And I have touch-up paint.
Oh, touch-up paint's cool.
I just don't really care because I'd have to knock the dent out before I did anything.
I like how my car didn't come with touch-up paint, but then a few months after I got the car, they mailed me touch-up paint in the mail. Like, here's a special gift. It's really expensive. Here's some touch-up paint. And I was like, oh, great, the touch-up paint you should have given me for free.
Yeah, because they want like $40 for a little thing of that.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Car paint is expensive.
But anyway, I'm down in this area I haven't really been before, and it's kind of out of the way. And to get home, I had to take the Deegan, Interstate 87, the New York State Thruway.
You took 87 all the way here and crossed the Hudson River twice? That's a long way.
Well, no, I took it most of the way up, and then I cut off onto the Taconic at an opportune moment.
Oh, so before you went across the river, you said, oh, shit.
No, actually, I knew that it touches the Taconic not too far before it goes across the river.
Ah.
It also touches the sawmill. I could have gotten off there.
Ooh, sawmill. Bzzz.
You know what? The sawmill can die in a goddamn fire.
All those roads that go north out of New York City.
No, they're all fine. The Taconic, I can just blow down the Taconic unless there's an accident. The Bear Mountain Beacon Expressway, I can just fly right through at 90 miles an hour. My problem is the sawmill. Because the sawmill has traffic lights for the first, 5 miles, which isn't a big deal. But that completely and utterly stops fucking traffic.
Not so good.
And there's no way around it. The only other way is to take Route 9 through, 10 tiny little 5-person towns with speed limits of 25.
Yeah, it's just the Hudson River is so poorly placed. It just gets in the way. If that wasn't there, you know how easy it would be to go north out of the city to get here?
I think the problem is more that all the roads that go north out of New York City were built before we understood how to make good highways. So they're not highways, they're parkways with at-grade entrances and at-grade exits, and often traffic lights. Also, they're narrow and windy, and often 2 lanes in any given direction.
Yeah, that is true. It's out of New York City, it's mostly 2, 3, it's mostly 2-lane roads, but there's a lot of them. If it had been designed properly, there would probably be 1 or 2, 5 or 6 lane roads that are all raised and super highway-ish.
Well, we'd probably just have a superhighway that went from the top of Manhattan all the way up to halfway to Albany.
Yeah, probably. And it'd probably go down through New Jersey and everything like that.
Yeah, but no, we don't have that.
Nope. Instead, it sucks. You got to pick one of a multitude of roads, hope you pick the right one for that day.
Yeah, the radio is useless. I thought, I'll listen to the radio and find out when the if there's traffic.
Well, if you do listen to 880 AM, which is, I think, the most powerful AM radio station in the country, you can get the news and traffic and weather on the 8s.
Totally useless.
Well, traffic and weather on the 8s.
Because within 8 minutes, I've already committed, and I've never once heard a traffic update that saved me from anything.
Yeah, you could sit in your car for 10 minutes until the 8s, and then...
That's just stupid.
Go.
That's just really stupid.
Hey.
And I tried to get, traffic information online, and I learned that all traffic information online is either incorrect or useless.
That's true. I don't know why that is.
There is no single website that has accurate, reliable, good traffic information for the New York State area.
All someone really needs to do is, you take a Google map, and whenever there's a traffic incident on a major highway, you put a little flag that says major incident here,
Scott, here's the problem.
north or southbound.
Here's the problem. One, most of those incidents aren't reported until later, especially not to you.
I know, they really need to report them much faster. I like the traffic cameras on the highways.
I want more of them.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, before she goes somewhere, because Connecticut has, traffic highway cameras everywhere, like the news always shows them. You can just look at them online, which is how public cameras should be. And she'll just go and look at the cameras at the road she's going to go on, and then maybe take an alternate road if it looks like there's too many cars there. I wish we had that.
Yeah.
All right.
I also had a Subway for lunch, which made me very unhappy.
You went to Subway, the place?
Yeah, there was nothing. This area is really economically depressed. I didn't trust any of the places I saw to eat within walking distance, so I found a food court that had a Subway in it.
Oh.
I had an Italian combo.
There's very few things at Subway that actually taste good. It's okay to just get the bread's okay. It's bread. The stuff they put the vegetables are vegetables.
It's terrible. They're terrible subs.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah. So what do you got in the news? I don't want to talk about Subway.
All right. So everyone knows, or you should know, that Nintendo promised that Zelda Twilight Princess would come out for GameCube and then Wii. And it was told to everyone that the GameCube version would come out a week before the Wii version.
Which is such a brilliant yet evil move.
Yeah, now, they've decided that in Japan, this is old news, that in Japan, they weren't going to sell the GameCube version in stores. They were only going to sell it online. So if you want it in Japan, if you're a Japanese person and you want Zelda Twilight Princess for the GameCube, you got to order it online. But they were still going to sell it in the U.S. in the stores. Today, people who work at EB and GameStop are reporting all over the place, and this is confirmed pretty much, that the SKU, the SKU for GameCube Zelda Twilight Princess, it's been removed from all the computer systems. It's not in there anymore.
Uh-huh.
People are pretty much saying, they're not going to sell it in stores. The question is, are they going to sell it online? Well, maybe. They sold Electroplankton. That game was sold online. It was also sold in stores, but it was mostly sold online in Nintendo US. So we'll see if GameCube Zelda Twilight Princess comes out.
This could be a little bit of a test of Nintendo to see exactly how well they could just cut out the middleman and sell their games direct.
Who knows? But I'm
because
thinking,
no normal parent would have bought that game. That game was purely in the realm of, I'm a fanboy and I need it.
Here's my thinking now, right? If this game isn't sold in stores, this might be a rare, awesome game to get. Be like, I got the GameCube Twilight Princess, bitches.
You know what? That if they're thinking that,
maybe they're doing it on purpose to make me think that. So it's like, should I buy the GameCube one a week before the Wii comes out or not? You
know what? The only rare games that I care about are the gold cartridge Zeldas, and I have them both. So
I kind of want those, like the Nintendo World Championship cartridges. Like, not even to have because they're, they go for so much in eBay. Just to play it once, to see how I would have done.
You sure there aren't ROMs out there?
I think there is a ROM, but I haven't been able to get it.
I found a ROM for the Nintendo official diagnostic cartridge.
Awesome.
You can find a ROM for that. I guarantee.
Maybe. There aren't so many of these cartridges out there, but we'll find one maybe someday.
Yes, someday.
All
right, so this is actually really interesting news that I found. I found it a while ago, and I was thinking of doing a whole show on it, but I couldn't wait anymore. Because eventually you guys will all notice that it's been sitting in my delicious for a while, unspoken about. According to the U.S. Census's 2005 something study, I forget the name of the study, they apparently have recently released all of the data for it. For the first time ever, there are more non-married, non-traditional households in the United States than there are married traditional households. More people are, in the eyes of fundamentalist Christians, living in sin than not living in sin as of now.
Woo! Yee.
50.2% of American households are non-standard, meaning they are either a single mother heading a household, a single father heading a household, or heterosexual or homosexual partners of either gender living together for various reasons.
Or bachelors.
No.
No?
They don't count people who live alone. So the numbers are actually even higher. There are 55.8 million non-traditional households in the U.S. There are an additional 30 million men and women living completely alone.
Oh, wow.
They don't count as households.
What? You live alone? You don't count as a household?
No, you don't. The definition of a household is multiple people living in a house.
Anyway, the point is the family, the normal family in
Nuclear
quotes,
family, mother,
Yeah.
father, 2.5 children, dog.
is to dying.
Well, it's not dying.
No?
It's on the decline. But the thing is,
So it's dying.
it's on the decline rapidly. It's not dying. The dying implies that it'll go away, which I highly doubt it will. Because
Maybe in the long run.
no, probably not. There's no evidence at all to suggest that.
If it's declining, does it
declining-
show signs of increasing?
Scott, something that's declining like this, there's no indication that it's going to decline fully. These things tend to level off. I mean, if anything, it'll probably decline to a static level and remain there.
Perhaps until something else comes along to make it decline more and more.
Okay. I
Anyway.
think you're reading way too much into this study.
Anyway, what does this mean for us? It means awesome, I think.
All it really means is that there are a lot of people who aren't getting married anymore. I mean, the divorce rate beat the marriage rate, and marriage is actually very rapidly becoming something that is not desirable by the majority of Americans.
Yeah, I guess so. But the gay people seem to really, really want to get married. So who knows? Is it people still want to get married, or is it people just can't make their marriages work, and even though they really want them to?
I think a lot of that just comes down to the fact that a lot of people marry people they don't actually like, as evidenced by many of the people I have met in my working professional career who complain about their spouses constantly. And yet, when I try to say, here's what this study says to me. Our generation is finally smarter than the previous generation when it comes to love and family and marriages. Because all of the older people I've known always try to say, yeah, you're just not married yet. Someday in the next 5 years or so, you'll get married and you'll be miserable just like I am. You'll have kids and they'll drain you dry of money and you'll hate your wife and you'll live in a giant house miserable and everything will suck. And you'll work long hours to stay away from them. And a marriage will cost a lot of money and you're going to spend all this money and blah, 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 and you'll never have sex anymore and blah, 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 blah. And they honestly just tell me, yeah, you dumb kid. You don't realize that it happens to everyone. It'll happen to you too.
Yeah, I think this definitely shows that people just aren't doing that anymore. It's like it used to be. That was the thing to do. People did it. Who knows what their reasons were, but that was, the way to be was, you went to school, you got a job, you made a family. It was sort of like the thing to do, and it was the status quo. And now people are, while they're still doing the other parts, go to school, get a job for the most part, they're not doing that whole make a family part, at least not in the way that it's been done for many, many years.
See, except now here's why your thing about, yeah, it's going to die out is kind of BS and not going to happen most likely. The shift is primarily in urban areas, as in almost all of these non-traditional households are in the metropolitan areas of major cities or in the suburbs of major cities. And almost
Where
all,
the cool people are.
And almost all of the traditional households are in the Midwest of America.
Yeah.
Like literally, they're all like, the Midwest and generally rural areas and undeveloped areas.
Rural areas, we always pick on them because they're behind the times. But if you go back in time, the rural areas now would be, modern for those times. So, 50 years from now, the rural areas now will be like now.
I think that's a silly, gross oversimplification that overlooks the fact that rural life is just inherently different from urban life and always has been.
It is.
From the days of the Romans, urban and rural were very different because it's a different kind of world, a different kind of living.
Yeah, but they eventually,
They weren't behind the
things
times.
from the city, they're behind the times.
In what way?
In many ways.
Such as?
Modern ways of thinking.
Like what? There are a lot of progressive people in the Midwest.
Yeah, in the Midwest, but not living in the boonies.
Well, by the Midwest, I meant the boonies, the middle of America.
The people in the boonies are not hip and cool.
How do you know? A lot of people who move out there are hippies.
Yeah, hippies aren't hip. There's a difference between a hipster and a hippie.
All right, I don't really see what you're going at here.
Eventually, stuff that's, happening in the cities gets exported and spreads around to the rural areas. It takes a long time for it to get out there.
What, like living in apartment complexes with a lot of people and not having agriculture? That's never going to get to rural areas. Then we'll run out of food.
But other aspects of life.
Okay.
Like pop culture type things and social culture.
Scott, pop culture is bigger out there than it is in urban areas. Urban areas are much more alternative pop culture now.
Yeah, that's the point, is that because the alternative pop culture is the pop culture in the urban areas, and the pop culture is...
While it's there, I don't think it's the majority, even in urban areas. I mean, even in New York City, most people watch American Idol and all that crap.
Yeah, but the stuff that's, the cities is where the stuff that's down low bubbles up to the top and becomes the American Idol type crap. It moves up to that level, and then it goes from there out to the rest of the country, That's where that kind of stuff is grown. And the rural areas is to where it's distributed. It just takes time for that stuff to happen.
Well, the only point here is that the household in which I live is now the majority. And to all of you with families, things might be changing a little bit.
Yeah, maybe all those, groups that are like, family interest.
Scott, I gotta interrupt you. I was gonna wait until the break. You said about 1,000 times.
What the hell?
I'm sorry.
All those groups. There's no. How am I supposed to start the sentence?
I don't know.
So all those groups that are, protect the family interests, or all that stuff. Maybe they'll be losing a lot of power if the majority of the country is not families. Then the interests of families will hold less sway, or supposed family interests and values.
See, the thing is, households that have children are still primarily, at least as far as most of the studies go, normal traditional households with a mother and a father, or some variety thereof.
Yep.
But the other thing is that people are breeding less and less, so that there are more and more households that are comprised of friends or lovers or people who don't intend to have children or people who just don't have children yet.
Things that day.
All right. So I had a couple things today that were kind of, I have a bunch of, backup things today. Nothing really, really crazy cool stood out. And I was going to pick one of them. But then our good friend Lisa had left a message for me. And upon further investigation, Lisa had sent me a link to a website that lists in generally real time all of the health outbreaks, epidemics, that sort of thing, in the world via Ajax and Google Maps.
Well, do they really mean like epidemics, like holy crap, a whole town is, got a disease? Or do they mean just like...
Well, as in, outbreaks.
Uh-huh.
Outbreaks of disease. And you can pick by disease. You can click on anthrax and see all the outbreaks of anthrax on the map.
Well, does one anthrax count as an anthrax outbreak? Or
well, if you click on one, it'll show you all of the related ones.
Ah.
And it gathers it from all sorts of different news sources of varying reliability and applies certain metrics to it to figure out what is going on.
That's pretty cool. So before you go on a trip, check out this map to make sure you're not going somewhere that's loaded with diseases.
Or just look up your hometown and then freak out when 1,000 kids died of E. coli 2 days ago.
I'm sure you would have seen that on some sort of local news source.
I don't watch local news.
Neither do I, but I would find out if there was 1,000 E. colis around here.
Maybe. I have zero contact with local news at this point, I've realized. I mean, I don't listen to the radio.
Local news is kind of important.
We don't even have TV. No internet site covers our local news at all in any reasonable way.
I actually found out recently that if we have cable television, which we don't, that one of the channels is the Beacon channel, and there's Beacon Town stuff on that channel.
Yeah, but we're going to pay for cable.
No, we're not. But I figure we need some sort of local something.
So sure enough, I looked, and yeah, a kid got polio in Kenya.
Sucks. Why didn't he get the vaccine?
I don't know. I didn't read the actual thing. Maybe he did and it didn't work. Maybe he probably just wasn't vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, all those nuts in America now who are trying to not vaccinate their kids against things because they think that the Thermosol or whatever that isn't even in a lot of vaccines causes autism.
Yeah. I can think of other reasons to not get a vaccine.
There's no reason to not get a vaccine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the vaccine... The thing is, the vaccine will not 100%. It is possible to get a vaccine and not get and still get polio. It is possible.
So what's your point? Everyone should be vaccinated against everything that needs vaccination.
Yeah,
There's really no two ways about it.
It's a good idea, but it's
But
not,
what?
It's not 100% awesome. It's
Yeah, it is.
99% awesome.
No, it's 100% awesome because in the few cases where a vaccine causes harm, it still is much to the benefit of society if everyone is vaccinated. If there are people who aren't vaccinated, we lose our herd immunity against a lot of diseases.
Yeah, we do. But at the same time, we don't evolve a natural immunity.
There's really no selection pressure regardless of whether or not we do that.
I know. I want to get some selection pressure going on.
So you want millions of people to die on a regular basis?
No, I'm figuring we should just get a group of people together in our own little society, and that society will have some selection pressure. Screw the rest of the world.
What? How? Selection pressure means you prevent people from breeding in some way
They die.
before they breed.
Yeah.
So in a small population, you expect that by not vaccinating people against diseases, some of them will die, thereby eventually over the course of tens of thousands of years, generate an immunity in that population.
Maybe. Well, you know what? If some people moved to the moon, those people would slowly, the people who couldn't live on the moon and didn't have good, traits to live on the moon would die. Yeah. And the other people who did well on the moon would live and breed some more, and we'd have awesome moon people.
I gotta say, I'm much more in favor of just using science and technology to overcome our genetic failings.
Oh, you lazy bum. You got no patience to wait 10 million years.
I want to be a coordinator.
We got to wait 10 million years. Then develop our own business. That's the way.
See, I gotta say, if I were to become a father somehow, and there was a way to make them a coordinator, like in Gundam Seed, the question wouldn't be yes or no. The question would just be when or how much money.
And then they'll have a sorrow-filled life of torment.
Yeah, followed by awesome at the end of their life with a giant robot.
But they'll be forced to fight with giant robots and protect their friends from horrible disaster.
Maybe. Or they'll just be awesome, and then they'll live an awesome life.
It could be.
They'll be the con chair of every anime con.
Tough call.
Piloting giant robots around left and right.
Anyway, my thing of the day is a YouTube video of this kid it says India, and it says it's a girl, even though I think it's a dude, but who can say?
Okay.
Yeah, who is roller skating. And this kid roller skates real fast down a hill, and then does a complete split, like whoop, and puts their hands on their ankles, and puts their body forward. Yeah.
I think I'm going to go every time for the rest of the show.
So this kid is on roller skates, going real fast, slightly downhill.
Yeah.
Completely flat against the ground. Limbo champion of the world flat. And the kid goes under a bunch of cars.
It's really kind of crazy watching this because the kid just goes whoop and disappears under this big truck.
Yeah, and it says the kid goes under 40 cars.
You can't go under 40 cars.
It might be 40 cars. You can't really tell.
It takes a while.
It does take a while. I'm pretty sure it might be 40 cars.
See, the thing is, you're waiting for this kid to come back out. If he hit his head or she hit her head and, just stopped and was hurt under there, it'd be a while before anyone figured it out.
Well, they would just move the two adjacent cars because there was someone watching with the camera. That's why this is on YouTube.
Yeah, you know what? I couldn't see anything in the camera when it showed. I just saw a blob that may or may not have been moving.
Oh, I saw the kid very clearly. I could see the wheels on the roller skates and everything.
Uh-huh.
You just need bad eyes. Anyway.
Maybe it was the fact that it's on your crappy laptop with its terrible angle of viewing, and I was standing on my bed.
I could see it from my angle, so... That's all that matters.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sure the people there could see it even better because they didn't have YouTube compression blocking their eyesight. However, the thing I want to talk about in this video is after the kid emerges, right? All these people from all over are like cheering and dancing and partying in the street, and they pick the kid up, and the kid gets laid, and everything's awesome. And I just, it reminds me of... It reminds me when I was a kid and people were like that. The neighborhood had a community. People would come out of their house and talk to each other and you could party in the street.
See, I hate to say it, but I don't really like that. I kind of disagree with that.
Why not?
Well, here's the thing.
Wouldn't it be nice to live in a place where everyone was all friendly and happy?
No, friendly and happy is one thing, but in almost everywhere I've lived physically until I went to college and lived with people I actually had shared interest with, I had almost nothing in common with any of my neighbors, and I really had no desire to ever really talk to them. And I certainly couldn't bring myself to stand around and cheer in the street. I'm just really jaded, and I find it really difficult to get into something that much.
Oh, I think it'd be awesome to live in a place where you even if you don't, even if you're not the best friends in the whole world and have lots of things in common with your neighbors. It doesn't mean you should ignore them. What the hell?
You keep saying you know.
You're just going to turn this into the show.
Just don't say it.
It's totally making what I'm saying, not get through. Whatever.
All right, I'm just pointing out. You keep saying you know.
All right.
It's a bad trend. If this keeps up, it's going to be the show with Rim and Scott.
It's only turning into the show because you're pointing out.
No, because I think you've been doing it for a couple days now. I think there's something in your food. I think you're eating the beans.
What the fuck? Beans?
Beans.
Red 5.
Okay.
Uno. Card game. Anyway.
Yeah. I got it.
Even if I'm not best friends in the world, and even if my neighbors aren't awesome geeks who I want to hang out with all the time, it's still nice to be friendly with your neighbors and have block parties and it's cool.
I don't have time for stuff like that. I mean, I want to spend time with people who I can talk to. I really can't talk to. I mean, I meet a lot of people in town, especially when I worked at IBM, and I often had time to, now I'm saying it's infectious.
Uh-huh.
See what you're doing to me? I should put it on the Google Maps.
Maybe you do it all the time and I just don't pay attention and point it out.
Nah, I usually say other things. I have my own tics, and I'm well aware of them.
Yeah, what words does Rim say all the time?
You know what I say the most? I say, now, pause, the thing I was going to say, now, pause, the thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
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 All right, so, anyway, I don't have time to be doing that anymore. And even when I did, I used to go walking around a lot in town before I worked down and I had a long commute. And I met a lot of people, and they always struck up conversations. And it was always a little interesting, meeting someone new and talking to them. But I couldn't talk about a single thing I was interested in because never did I run into someone in Beacon or in Fishkill or in Poquay or in Poughkeepsie who had any interest in anything I had to say that I cared about. Now, most of them didn't know anything about computers. They didn't play video games. They didn't care about anime. One of them the only cool guy I ever met wanted to tell me about how he was on a ship that took the people from when that other ship was attacked by the Israelis during the war, when a U.S. ship was attacked, and he knew people who were on that ship.
Yeah, see, I know most people in town don't care about the things that I'm really, really interested in. They're not gonna listen to Geeknights. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And which is why I'm not gonna hang out with them all the time and constantly have deep, long conversations with them. But at least to be cordial with them as human beings.
Yeah. Cordiality doesn't go beyond.
And they also, I'm interested in pretty much what almost anyone has to say at least once. It's cool to just.
Yeah.
What? I didn't say
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You just said it.
I didn't. Anyway.
I'm not going to stop the recording. Our listeners can tell you that you said it.
It's cool to be able to walk around your neighborhood and see people and know who they are instead of just giving them kind of stares.
See, I'm very friendly to people. I'm cordial. To me, cordial means if I see someone, I acknowledge their existence. But I'm not going to small talk about the weather. I'm not going. I hate that. I hate small talk. I hate just. Well,
but if some kid down the street is roller skating under 40 cars, I think it'd be a lot cooler if all the people, from around came out, to see and were like, hey.
You said again.
I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Whatever.
You said again.
I think you're insane.
I'll just note one last time that this is all being recorded. We're doing a podcast, so you're free to say that you didn't just say but I've got a record of what was said. So if you're confident, you know what?
We'll see what was said.
I'll bet you $100. I've got it.
You're only $100 sure?
I'll bet you, because that's what I got in my wallet right now.
Uh-huh.
I have a little over $100.
I got nothing in my wallet, so I can't bet.
I'll lend you credit.
No.
So you're not that sure?
I'm not sure of anything, which is what this episode's about.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, a lot, like our town has a lot of festivals and get-togethers, and I go to them occasionally because I like to get, an elephant ear or some deep-fried somethings or some lemonade. But the people, I really don't have any way to hang out with or talk to on any intellectual level. And I really just don't have the time or the inclination to deal with people that I'm not interested in. I mean, no offense to them. I don't think they're bad people. I'm just not interested in them on a personal basis.
But people in your neighborhood, a neighborhood community, isn't about having conversations with people. It isn't about being intellectual with people. It isn't about spending a lot of time.
So it's
with
not about
people
anything
in particular. It is. There are other ways to interact and join up with other human beings than in the way that we do it with geeky people.
You know what? I don't have any non-geeky friends.
Yeah, you don't to be friends with them. You just you be acquaintances.
If someone's not
you know who they are. You can rely on them for you can go over and say, "Hey, you gotta can I borrow some sugar?"
I would never do that.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I would like to live in a place where people all the time went over and said, "Hey, can I borrow some eggs? What's up?"
See, I wouldn't want my neighbors bugging me all the time. I wouldn't want people knocking on my door who I kind of know asking to borrow a screwdriver. I just wouldn't answer.
The best was because where my grandma lived in Queens, right? We would go sit out on the porch, and people would walk down the street, and you would say, "Hey, how's it going, Joe? What's up?"
Yeah, when I was young and we lived in Detroit, we
you
did
would
that
leave
too.
the door open on the house. People would walk in and say hi and bring some food and take some food, and it was like a constant happy go party time.
See,
now we live in this isolated, kind of we're in our house and you're in your house,
and that's the way it should be.
No,
I don't want people wandering into my house and borrowing my stuff, or I really don't like interact. I don't like to put myself into entanglements with people I don't care about.
That's the thing is I would like to live in a place where people cared about the people they lived near.
I care about them on an abstract human level. I care about them in a we all exist in the same world level, but I don't want to lend them my screwdriver. I mean, if someone asked me for my screwdriver, I'd give it to them. But
I would prefer to live in a place where we cared about the people near us on a more than abstract human level. But it doesn't have to be, friend, why don't you come over and play a board game level? It's, it's like.
Well, Scott, let me put it in the way we live our lives anyway. It doesn't matter what the community's like. We never even have the opportunity to see people from our city.
I think that's because...
what? How could we see people from our city?
I think if the neighborhood was the way that I would like it to be, we would do it more often.
No,
we
what
would
do you
go
mean?
walking around.
I wouldn't go walk. I don't have time for that. If I'm going to go out walking, I'm going to go out running.
So you'd go run around and see people, and
I go run in the mountains alone. So I run into hikers, and sometimes they try to talk to me. Every single time I've ever run into someone on the mountain, with a couple exceptions, they start talking to me, and I either have to make an excuse and get away, or be stuck there for like a half hour while they talk at me.
That's another thing, is that the way we live is that we have these very separated houses. I mean, there's our house, and there's some car dealers, and there's a big buffer, and then a neighbor's house.
See, that's great, because I want to be able to make a lot of noise and do whatever I want and not be bothering people
Making
around
noise
me.
is good, but I would trade the, freedom to make lots of noise if it was a whole lot more people.
I wouldn't, not unless it was cool, geeky people.
Nah, I'm all about just people.
If you're so
People
all about
are cool.
people, how come you don't know anyone in town?
Because I don't have a lot of,
And how come whenever the old lady is talking to us, you're always trying to get away from her?
Because the old lady's kind of annoying.
Everyone's
because she talks too much.
Yeah, a lot of people around here are like that. That's why I avoid people now.
It's still, it's good. I think you just never lived in a place where people were friendly and happy.
When I lived in Detroit on Harvard Street, we knew all the neighbors, and we'd sit on the porch at night. And a lot of people would walk by. We lived on Berkshire; it was the same way. We had other family who lived like next door and down the street. And I remember there was some old lady's house next door, and we knew them. And we'd walk around the neighborhood. We knew other people, and it was fun for a really little kid. But as an adult, I don't have time for that. My life's too short to be bothering.
It's like when we go to Wildwood, and Scott Johnson's dad's friends are all walking around, and it's all friendly.
I could care less about that. I'd rather just surround myself with all of my friends and meet new people I can actually talk to.
And that's the problem with America, is people aren't being friendly anymore.
I'd rather people be honest than be fake friendly.
It's not fake friendly, real friendly.
No, there's
honest friendly.
I'll say that there probably is a lot of fake friendly.
There probably is, but there's real friendly, and that's the way it used to be.
See, I'm friendly to me. All you need is if you see someone on the street and you nod at them and they nod back, and then you go about your business.
You suck.
What do you want? I don't want to bother with people I don't have any interest to share with. I don't want to spend any time with people that I can't in any way have an intellectual conversation.
Because intellectual conversation's the only reason to interact with any people.
Or to have fun, or I don't have fun. I mean, I've gone to a lot of company picnics and things like that. And I'll admit that they were mostly horrible and boring. And I only went because they were during work hours. So I got out of work and I still got paid. I would never have gone to a single event with any of my jobs if I weren't paid to do it. I mean, I was even friends with some of the people at my jobs. I just had no desire. They weren't fun. It was a bunch of people standing around making small talk. No one said anything really non-small talkish ever.
What do you know?
What do you mean, what do I know? That's how things are.
You're just an ass.
I'm not an ass to anyone.
You're like, all you people are peons. You're not worth my time. I'm not going to spend any time with you.
See, you know what? I expect them to
What
look...
kind of attitude is that?
See, I expect them to look at me the same way. They have no interest to share with me. Why would they want to spend their time on me?
No.
If neither one of us have any shared interest, then what kind of conversation could we possibly have?
It's not just about conversation.
What's
It's
it about?
about
then?
just having a community of people who join together and not just a bunch of separate, isolated people who don't communicate and aren't friendly and are just holed up in their own little, isolated TV watching, not caring about anyone else places.
I don't watch TV.
It's what would you rather live in a happy town, or people walk down the street and you know the names of everybody and everyone's friendly? Or would you rather live in a place where everything's quiet and everyone's in their house and no one cares about anyone else on the street and everyone does their own thing and is all isolated?
You know where I'd rather live? I'd rather live in a college campus where everyone was generally awesome and you had both. And everyone was friendly with everyone. You knew all these people. There were people walking around talking all the time. A million people all over campus. You have a million acquaintances. But you're also surrounded by awesome people who have like interests, and the community isn't just based on the fact that everyone in the community happens to live in the same physical place. It's based around the fact that everyone has generally common goals and interests. They're all
people who live in the same physical place have a lot of common goals and interests.
Not really.
They do, pertaining to the place in which they live. It's like
Scott, we live in a commuter town. Most of the places around here are commuter towns.
Yeah,
most of the people here.
It's kind of crummy.
I think it's fine. I like Beacon a lot.
All right, well, whatever. Let's do the actual show, bit.
I'm just, you talk about this, yet you never make any effort to go see normal people out there, non-geeks.
It's because this is the kind of place isn't conducive
Scott,
to that.
actually it is. The city of Beacon and the people in it are really, really, really towny. Beacon has this huge reputation in the whole county for being really, really towny, and everyone knows each other, and they all go to the festivals together, and they all go to the pub crawls together, and they all climb the mountain for fun all the time.
Yeah, I can't do those
You haven't
things.
gone to a single town festival, and they happen regularly.
It's because I'm out of town on the weekend all the time.
No, you've been home for several. I've gone to some of them, and you stayed home.
Those aren't town, real kind of action.
Scott, you realize that even the weekly farmers market, half the town goes. It's this huge thing. There's a crazy number of people and all these booths and crafts and music and everyone hanging out and having a grand old time. Every single Sunday that happens. You've never gone once.
Yeah, because I'm doing stuff like sleeping.
Oh, so what's the point of having the community if you wouldn't
But
take
see, you're
part in
not
it?
going to the farmer's market to be friendly with people. You're going to buy some farmer's goods and come back.
Yes, and the thing is, that's because I know what I want and I get it. But you say you want something, yet you don't put forth any effort to get it.
I'm just saying, I like a place that's like that.
This town is like it. You can just go take advantage of it.
But it's not like on my street. It's all the way over there at the farmer's market.
That's just because you happen to live a couple blocks away from the center of town where everyone is.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is I want to live, in
So,
the town.
Scott, you're saying you want to live a quarter mile further down the road.
That would be nice.
It wouldn't be any different.
Yeah, it would.
I don't see how.
You've never lived in a place like that, so what do you know?
Berkshire was just like that.
Yeah, isn't it great?
No, I was indifferent. I was a little kid. I didn't care.
Well, you suck.
These were just all these adults trying to talk over the kids' heads, even though the kids weren't stupid. We all knew what they were saying.
All right. Anyway, let's do the show.
All right.
How long did we spend on that?
We pretty much did a whole show on that.
That's no good.
We can talk for about 10 minutes.
I think our main bit's going to take more than 10 minutes.
Not really. I don't know. There's not so much to say. It's a very cut and dry issue.
All right. So, a lot of people lately seem to be confused about this concept of burden of proof.
Mostly people in our own forums. You know who you... Well, no, you don't know who you are.
Well, mostly people in the United States who do not understand science.
All right, let's... Before we get into it, let's do a couple examples, and then we'll go from there. I think we can illustrate the point very succinctly.
All right, you ready?
All right.
Hey, Rim.
Yeah.
Did you know that I'm actually the 5th resurrection of Hitler?
5th? That can't be because I'm the 6th.
Oh, well, see. Here's the perfect example. I have claimed that I am the 5th resurrection of Hitler.
Now, this is a claim that is extraordinary. Now take as an alternate.
Even if it's an ordinary claim, it doesn't matter. But
Well,
extraordinary claims are especially,
Well, now let's take. I got my own counterclaim.
All right.
Today I had an Italian combo sandwich.
Oh, did you?
Now I'm actually lying. I had an Italian BMT.
Mm-hmm.
But I said I have an Italian combo, and my claim was an ordinary claim.
So the question is, if I say that I'm the 5th resurrection of Hitler, and you try to say, no, you're not, how do I, who has to prove? Can I just say, well, you can't prove I'm not the 5th resurrection of Hitler, therefore I am?
But meanwhile, I could say you can't prove I didn't eat an Italian BMT or an Italian combo, whichever one I said, because I don't remember now.
You said Italian combo, you ate a BMT.
Yes, I did eat a BMT. I remember now, because it
Yes.
had pepperoni on it.
So the question is it up to Rim to prove that I'm not the 5th resurrection of Hitler? And if he fails to prove that I'm not, I automatically am? Or is it I have to prove that I am the 5th resurrection of Hitler, otherwise I'm not?
Now, first, let's look at the ordinary claim, because ordinary claims are very easy to solve, and second, ordinary claims rarely matter.
Yep.
So I said that I ate the Italian combo when actually the truth is I ate the BMT.
Mm-hmm.
But if I claim that I ate the Italian combo, Scott doesn't need to prove, he needs to prove me wrong. I don't need to prove I'm right because, one, the matter is trivial, and two, it's a falsifiable claim, meaning it is possible to be proven wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So if it became a matter of Scott had to prove me wrong because I murdered some guy and my alibi is that I was eating the one instead of the other, and if I ate the BMT, then that means I'm the killer, then...
Oh, cheap murder mysteries that are like 2 pages long.
Oh, yeah. Then, if Scott, the burden of proof is on Scott because he has to prove that I ate the BMT. Meanwhile, I don't have to prove anything. I made a normal, ordinary claim. I mean, if I say, yeah, I saw a cloud today...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw a cloud today.
Yeah, an ordinary claim is a claim that doesn't put forth any sort of extra baggage. It's hard to really put it succinctly without using, stupid logical terms that half of you would probably not care about.
Yeah.
But if my claim does not affect your worldview, does not affect the world, does not counter any widely held, reasonably accepted claims, and does not go against accepted scientific theory, there is no reason to doubt it, and there is no reason for me to have to back it up. Every time I say 2 + 2 is 4, I don't have to prove that 2 + 2 is 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go to Scott's claim about Hitler.
I'm the 5th resurrection of Hitler.
Now, one, if Scott's claim is true, then the following are also true. Resurrection is possible. Hitler is back. Scott is the resurrection of Hitler.
Fair. I mean, I'm Jewish. Kinda.
Now this has all sorts of ramifications for the world. It has all sorts of baggage. It goes against accepted theory. It goes against accepted knowledge. It goes against accepted everything. The burden of proof is on Scott. I don't have to prove that he's not Hitler because that's just stupid. Scott has to prove that he's Hitler or his claim is effectively to be ignored by anyone who has a brain.
Yeah, I mean, if it's basically is it false by default or is it true by default? And generally, everything in the whole universe, any statement or claim you can make is automatically I don't know by default, technically speaking. And then
yeah, we're not going to get into Gnosticism.
Yeah.
But
the point is when you say something, even if it's a negative something, like let's say I say that a red mushroom gives you an extra life in Mario 1. And Rim says, no, a red mushroom does not give you an extra life in Mario 1. Those are both claims, even though one of them is a negative claim. If you make a claim, you have to provide evidence for your claim. If you do not provide evidence, then you got nothing.
So if I say that I am actually an elf, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got to prove that I'm actually an elf because that, again, has all this baggage, and I'm the one making the claim. I'm the one asserting that there is a truth in the world, a truth that has far-reaching ramifications.
Yep. And
But-
therefore, you must provide the evidence.
Now, even if it doesn't have far-reaching ramifications, if it's an ordinary claim, let's say I say, I am a man. Or, now to that, it's the same argument. I'm making a claim, and I have to back it up. However, because it's an ordinary claim, my claim does not in any way impede or go against accepted knowledge. I don't have to back it up.
Because there's already so much evidence out there, it's just already...
Yep, it doesn't matter if my claim is true or not. So if you want to challenge my claim, you can, but I'm not forced by default to back it up.
Because he's already got a mountain of existing evidence, which is pretty obvious. It's obvious evidence.
The key here is extraordinary claims. The quote that says it best is very simply, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Right. Let's say I make an extraordinary claim like... I can fly without, I can fly, like Superman, right? Now, Rim will come up and say, you can't fly like Superman.
You can't fly like 10 Supermans.
And I'll say, yes, I can. I'm just not doing it right now, and I'm not going to do it when anyone can see. You can't prove that I can't fly like Superman. Therefore, I can fly like Superman. And, well, it is possible that could be true.
Yeah.
It is indeed a possibility. However, you don't believe me. It's crazy.
Yeah, if I take Scott's claim without him providing evidence for it, because it's an extraordinary claim, I'm an idiot.
Yep. It's up to me with my crazy claim to provide evidence. If I can't provide any evidence that proves, and at least partially proves, if not fully proves, that I can indeed fly like Superman, for example, flying like Superman when someone can see, then I'm full of crap. And that's how it works. So next time you argue with someone and they say, you can't prove me wrong, you say, no, the burden of proof is on you. You made a claim. Therefore, you must provide evidence to support that claim. If you cannot provide evidence to support your claim, you are wrong by default if your claim is extraordinary.
Yeah, in fact, the only difference...
You don't need... There's nothing can be proven wrong 100%. I mean...
Well, no, things can be proven wrong. It's harder to prove things right. Because basically, you make an assertion, especially in science, and you test it. And every test you do, you've done 1,000 tests, all say, yes, this looks like it's true. The evidence supports it. You can't ever prove it 100%, but you can prove it wrong because the moment you have a counterexample, the whole thing is proven wrong. Oh, look, it didn't work because of that. Theory's crap.
It's true, but just because, let's say you didn't do those 1,000 yes tests, right? You just did, the one other test. Am I thinking this right?
You know what? It's much simpler if we go with, there are two kinds of arguments, if you want to really get into it, over the nature of something as it is or the nature of something as we have defined it.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about, if I say this thing I'm holding up is a picture of Fu from Samurai Champloo, I am indeed holding up a picture of Fu right now and Scott can see it.
He is.
Now, because we both agree on what Fu is, I can make the claim that this is Fu, and it can be proven 100% by evidence.
Yep.
But natural world things can't be proven 100% because we don't have an objective viewpoint and we didn't make up the rules.
Yep.
But that's a whole topic for another day.
Yes. So if I say I have magic powers and I say you can't prove I don't have magic powers, and you can't because you can't prove I don't have magic powers, it's not possible. That doesn't mean I have magic powers. It means that I have to prove I have magic powers or else I don't.
The burden of proof is always on the person making the claim.
Now, let's say I'm standing here, and just standing, and Rim comes up and says, you don't have magic powers, and that's his claim.
Yes, I've still made a claim. I've made a negative claim. I've stepped forth and made an assertion.
Then he has to, then his claim requires evidence. I'm like, do you have any evidence that I don't have magic powers? Because I'm not saying I do. He's just saying I don't.
And of course, then I can try to force Scott to do all these magic tricks, and he fails at all of them. And I try to make him fly, and he can't, and all these things. Then I've effectively brought forth more and more evidence that my claim is in fact true.
Mm-hmm.
And like say in science, we talk about evolution. People make the claim that evolution is happening. Evolution has happened, and we've studied it, and we keep making Evidence is like, well, what about this situation? Hey, it works. What about this evidence? Yeah, it fits. We're getting closer and closer to saying, you know what? It's very likely to be true, and there's no reason to say it's not true.
Yes. You make a claim, and the claim is backed up by evidence. You make a negative claim, the claim is backed up by evidence.
An extraordinary claim is one by which for which there is not any extant evidence, or at least any known extant evidence.
There's ghosts. The Ghostbusters are real.
Yeah, saying evolution happened is not an extraordinary claim. There are mountains of science backing that up. Saying that Lamarckian evolution happened.
There's mountains of evidence against Lamarckian evolution.
So if I claim that Lamarckian evolution happened, I better provide some crazy freaking evidence to back that up, because there's already all this evidence saying it isn't true. So it would require crazy, extraordinary evidence.
Yes.
Which I probably can't provide because Lamarckian evolution probably didn't happen.
So just because you have a claim that cannot be proven wrong doesn't make it true. Nothing is true unless it has evidence behind it. And extraordinary things that are crazy and not normal require incredible amounts of evidence because they're so crazy. If it's a normal everyday thing, you don't need so much evidence because it's not crazy. That's how it works. So next time, if someone says something crazy, and then they say you can't prove it wrong. Well, of course you can't prove it wrong. There's a lot of things you can't prove wrong. You can't prove that I'm not God. You can't prove that Rim doesn't have magic powers. You can't prove that
I totally have magic powers.
You can't prove that fairies don't exist. You can't, there's a lot of things you can't disprove that are all false because it's really hard to disprove things.
Now, and just to head off any people who might disagree with that bit right there, we're talking about pedantic and semantic arguments.
Mm-hmm.
The real world is fuzzy. You can't ever prove anything 100% due to a lot of very complicated philosophical and scientific ideas.
Yes.
Which we'll get into on another day.
Yeah.
Because I know we've already gone long.
Yep.
Because we did 2 shows about how I don't like.
Because you're thinking that my thing of that. That was the thing of the day about a kid on roller skates.
You know what? We almost went into a similar thing about the marriage household thing. We just cut it short on purpose.
Yeah.
We could have done 3 episodes tonight. That's fine. It's Thursday.
All right.
Once again, I'd like to say that we are going to UberCon this weekend on Saturday. Or at least I am a guest. Scott will be there.
Yeah, we'll see how this turns out. I'm going to have words.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think UberCon will be a fun time, as always.
We'll probably just show up and be like, hey, you sent him a one, you didn't send me one.
Well, the thing is, I would have gone to UberCon even if they didn't want us to do a panel. And
I also would have.
We weren't getting in free. So it's not a big deal at all.
I'll just say something, and if they go, no, I'll be like, all right, fine, I'll pay.
Yep.
But
Plus,
I'll say something, though.
I think we're really going to bust out at the next UberCon. I think we're going to go the whole weekend.
Maybe. We'll have to see.
I really want to.
Yeah, it depends. Depends on a lot of things.
And also, a lot of people in our forums have noticed that, they were talking about the dice jewelry that our friend Nuri was making.
Ah.
That was talked about a while ago. The thread disappeared somewhat recently because people in our forums are very fickle, and a thread will flash and get like 40 posts, and then suddenly everyone forgets about it, and it disappears.
Sorrow.
Well, sinks to the second page.
What a neglected thread.
Where dragons sit.
Dragons be there.
There be dragons on the second page of the forums.
There be.
But she now has her website up, and you can buy custom and semi-custom and not custom dice earrings, as in Dungeons and Dragons dice, and dice jewelry that are really kind of cool. And this isn't an advertisement or anything. It's actually really cool, and she's a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
So
many-sided dice, more than 6 sides, sometimes less than 6 sides.
I mean, Scott Johnson
jewelry
from her got this giant D30 hanging on a chain that he wears around his neck.
It's kind of gaudy.
No, but it's gaudy in an awesome 70s way. Imagine him at a nightclub with a polyester suit and a big collared shirt with the top 2 buttons open.
That's exactly the kind of gaudy it is.
Yeah, with the chest hair hanging out and the giant D30 hanging there. that is an awesome aesthetic for that kind of thing.
It is. So, D&D was made in the 70s, so hey.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, I got to say, I really like disco.
Yeah.
I'll say straight up that I like disco, and anyone who disagrees
I
with me,
disco also.
You know what? I'm making a claim. Disco is awesome, and I have extraordinary evidence.
I also have the evidence.
Yes, I believe we'll have to bring it up some other day.
And you just saying you can't prove the disco isn't awesome isn't enough.
And that was Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geek Nights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.